Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the April joint meeting of the Long Island Railroad Metro North Committees. Before we begin, we have a guest with us that I wanted to acknowledge, and the committee welcomes Commissioner Jim Redeker from the state of Connecticut, Commissioner of Transportation. Welcome to the meeting. Our pleasure. We will start the meeting with, as usual, with public comments. Our first speaker is Orrin Getz.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Orrin Getz, and some people will know I come from Rockland County. I think it's a great idea that the new Metro North president is visiting stations on the Harlem and Hudson and New Haven lines. I think, however, he also has to come to the west side of the Hudson and visit the Port Jervis and Pascack Valley line. I think it would be a great idea if he one day would meet at Harriman Station and meet the Port Jervis commuters and ride in with them, and then come to Nanuet and ride in with the Pascack Valley Line commuters, because it would give them first-hand experience of just what happened this morning. The trains on the Pascack Valley Line were running on time, but when we hit Secaucus, there were undefined delays in the Northeast Corridor that were up to 15 minutes, thanks to Amtrak. And this is an ongoing problem that just about every time we commute in and out of New York City, there's some sort of a daily problem in the Northeast Corridor. Also, at the April 8th, 2014 New Jersey Transit Board meeting, the board approved hiring Rail Safety Consulting of Pittsford, New York, to conduct a comprehensive review of New Jersey Transit's rail inspection, maintenance procedures, work procedures, and overall safety culture. Also, Executive Director Ronnie Hakem announced that New Jersey Transit will take a deep dive inspection similar to what Metro North is doing to be fully prepared should the FRA arrive and request that information, which I think is good. Also, at the April 2014 edition of Progressive Railroading, there was an article about the challenge railroads are having implementing positive train control. And one of the problems is that the Federal Communications Commission has a stop order to the installation of the signaling towers necessary to install PTC. And I think it would be imperative to have a report on how Metro North and Long Island Railroad's implementation of PTC is going, and find out if the federal government is indeed holding up Metro North and the Long Island Railroad for meeting the 2015 deadline. It would be a great idea to get hold of Senator Schumer and Senator Blumenthal and let them know this so that they can take the necessary action to assist Metro North and the Long Island Railroad. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Getz. Next speaker is Rosalie Norton, West Hempstead Community Support.
Good morning, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this morning. I'm the president of our local West Hempstead Civic and Community Support Association. We have approximately 800 families and businesses which are members. And the reason I'm here today is because we've lost our weekend service now for the past 4 years. During that time, the dynamics in the area has changed considerably. We have a 150-unit apartment complex that was built. It's luxury market rate. We have another one that's on the drawing board sitting with the town of Hempstead for approval for 53 more units with a different complex. We have a new equestrian center, the only one on the South Shore, which relies on weekend service for not only the people who house their horses there, but also for the weekend shows that they have. We also have National Wholesale Liquidators, which 4 years ago was in bankruptcy, which is now working and fully operational. That requires it. And they're putting in something like $1 million in renovations to their facility. Now, one of the things I want to do is read a letter from one of our residents. It states that they had gone to West 130, which is the apartment complex, and they wanted to rent there. The only thing that prevented them was that they needed to have weekend service. The husband worked in the city and required weekend service, as well as their family who lived in New Jersey would travel the trains but couldn't visit them on weekends. So they rented someplace else. We have another one who has a daughter who attends the Fashion Institute. Can't has difficulties, has to travel, and have someone drive her to another station on weekends because she needs that service. I've brought with me letters from the Chamber of Commerce. I've already given Ms. Williams a letter from our Civic Association. I also have one from the Cathedral Garden Civic. We have a large Orthodox community that requires it because their families come in on a Friday and leave on Sunday. So I have about close to 400 letters and petitions which I would like to leave with the board, urging everyone to restore the weekend service, not just for our community, but for all of the communities along that line. So thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. You gave it to the, okay, good. Our next speaker is the Honorable Patty McDonald, Mayor of the Village of Malvern.
Hi, good morning. And again, I'd like to also thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here and speak this morning. On the heels of what Rosalie just said, we are on the West Hempstead branch. Malvern is a very quaint, beautiful community. And one of the attractions, aside from being a beautiful community, is the proximity of the Long Island Railroad to Manhattan. And with not having the weekend service, it's not just the weekends. When, especially this past winter, as we all know, we had a horrible winter, every time there was a snowstorm, it went to weekend service, which meant our residents had to find another way of getting into the city. And that would mean they have to get in their cars and go to either Valley Stream or Lynbrook. And also, the weekend service also affects Thanksgiving and all the major holidays. So people that would like to go into Manhattan to see the parade or other events are not able to because there's no service. So I'm just asking, I know I've met with Ms. Williams, along with our Assemblyman Brian Curran and our Senator Dean Skelos, who are also working very strongly to try to get the service back. So I would just implore the board to please consider getting the weekend service back for the residents of Malvern. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I can tell both of you that Commissioner Malloy and I have had a number of discussions about West Hempstead, and it is on our number one priority with the service enhancements that will be coming in July, when the next time the board meets on it. You can tell that to your residents. If Commissioner Malloy and I have anything to do with it, it will be done. You're welcome. Our next speaker is the Honorable Peter Cavallaro, Mayor of the Village of Westbury.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry. I'm here as the mayor of the Village of Westbury, a village of about 15,000 people, which is on the main line of the Long Island Railroad, because you have on your agenda this morning an RFP for the replacement of the Ellison Avenue Bridge. The Village of Westbury, over 20 years ago, initially brought to the railroad's attention the need for the bridge to be repaired and or replaced. And we've been working really hard with the railroad and with our local representatives to try to move that along. In the last couple of years, thanks mostly to President Helena Williams' initiatives and our local state senator Jack Martin's, I think, we're at the verge where you have this on your agenda this morning. And I'm just here really to impress upon you the importance of that project. Several years ago, Newsday rated the worst bridges on Long Island, and the Ellison Avenue Bridge was rated the second worst bridge on Long Island. Ellison Avenue is a major north-south thoroughfare through Nassau County, and tens of thousands of vehicles a week utilize that bridge. The roadway currently has no pavement. It's metal plates which are taking the place of the roadway because the structure of the bridge won't hold the pavement. So it's a long time coming. Our residents really are very anxious to have this bridge replaced. There's questions constantly about the safety of the bridge, even though we assure them of the structural integrity of the bridge. Eventually, something has to be done, and you have that before you today. And so I'm here on behalf of my residents to really ask the board to support that and pass that RFP so the RFP can go out. Another important element is that the RFP does include a project labor agreement, which is going to be very important for our local skilled laborers on Long Island to get them to work on this bridge. It's an important project, and I'm just imploring the board to please support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next speaker is the former mayor, Honorable Ernest Strada, the mayor of the Village of Westbury.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Helena, how are you? I'm here just to re-emphasize or to support the position of the current mayor. A little bit of history for the information of the panel here and all of the members of the MTA. I was mayor for 28 years, and even prior to me becoming mayor, that bridge was always a problem. For years, the Village of Westbury was involved in a battle to decide who was responsible for the bridge between the Long Island Railroad, the New York State Department of Transportation, and the Village of Westbury. We had several sessions. Ultimately, it was decided, and the responsibility fell with the Long Island Railroad. Peter has adequately informed you as to the importance of that bridge. The condition is in very, very, very poor shape right now with the steel plates. And as he said, it is a major north-south artery to Nassau Community College, to the shopping centers in Roosevelt Field, and for everyone that travels the north-south corridor. So the important thing is for that bridge to be replaced as soon as possible. And one of the things that the village has done during the early planning stage with the Long Island Railroad is to assist it in terms of the construction program by closing the roadways to permit the construction program to be done in a very economical fashion and with a little loss of time. Again, we plead with you to support this project. The Village of Westbury desperately needs it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is George Fink. George? Picchio, I'm sorry. I can't read my own writing.
George Tricchio, Labor's Local 1298,
Yes.
heavy and highway laborers. I represent 1,500 men and women, Nassau, Suffolk. So obviously a project labor agreement in place. It's a huge project for us. We put dozens and dozens of local skilled laborers to work. And as I work in Hempstead, and for 20 years I've been traveling every day over that bridge. We all know it's in really bad shape. So I ask you to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our final speaker is Stephen Quigley.
Good morning, all. I'm a Long Island Railroad commuter. I have been for many years, and I just want to say I do not the reverse commute, but the intra-island commute. The Long Island Railroad, as you all know, has been a generator of economic vitality for the people of Long Island for the past 180 years. But in the meantime, what we need and what we're seeing is more and more people are doing, one, the reverse commute, two, the intra-island commute. I work over by Winthrop Hospital in Mineola. There are 6,000 employees in Winthrop Hospital in Mineola. You will be absolutely amazed if you were to go to the Mineola station during any time of the day or night, the amount of people that get on and off the train at Mineola coming from the east as well as coming from the west. So what I'm seeing is the fact that we need more intra-island trains. We need more service. The service is there right now, but more and more frequent service, and that's how I think we're going to build the vitality of Long Island. In today's Newsday, there was an article about Heartland. And Heartland, they expect to have 9,000 residences. He's probably going to start construction in the not-too-distant future. How are these people going to commute? Are they going to be on the Southern State Parkway, which is forget it as it is at the point, because I've tried it, or they're going to take the train. The train would be a very, very viable option. And again, I just want to say thank you very much. We need more frequent intra-island as well as reverse commute. Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully they're all going to go to Deer Park, yes, which is right there, which is why we're building a second track, which is right there. Everything is related. Thank you. Okay, that completes our public comment period. Are there any changes to the minutes of the meeting of March 24th? Yes, sir.
The speakers, what would the cost be in restoring that Malvern service tomorrow morning?
We have been analyzing that at the request of our chairman, who asked that we assemble information about proposed service enhancements. So I will have to give you that offline. We are putting those numbers together right now. It is, not a tremendously expensive service.
Well, then, why wouldn't we entertain a motion to request that you expedite the restoration of that service?
Well,
since
if
everyone seems to want it.
If the commissioner will recall, Mr. Capelli and I made such a motion at the December board meeting. It was unfortunately rejected.
There's always a second time.
I understand that, and the chairman of the chairman, the big chairman, asked us to wait until all the service enhancements would go together at the July meeting when he would prepare his presentation, and we agreed at that time to do so. So
My only point is, everybody seems to agree it is
Right.
both warranted and entirely appropriate. Why are we waiting?
well, because he asked that we do them all together. And so as a result, we're going to do them all together.
I guess he must be
To be
evading.
fair to everybody. It'd be fair to everybody, and we agreed. But we have no doubt it will happen in July, I hope. Context. Okay, any changes to the minutes? Motion to approve the minutes? Second, all in favor? I don't think there are any changes to the work plans? Nope, okay. So we'll start with the agency president's report. Helena, you're up first this month.
Oh, thank you very much. I do want to thank the speakers for coming in. I always appreciate the opportunity to work with civic associations, our mayors. It's very important on Long Island that Long Island Railroad have that relationship with the communities we serve. Just to Commissioner Merdler's comments, we look forward to the day when we are providing 7-day-a-week service to West Hempstead, and we think that day won't be too far off in the future. With that, I would like to turn to our enhanced safety action update. We continue to keep a strong focus on safety. Our first 2014 quarterly corporate safety stand-down was conducted on March 27th. We held two safety events, really, a health and wellness event at Hillside and at Babylon Yard. More than 4,500 employees participated in the stand-down, and then more than 800 employees attended the health and wellness event, where we tried to provide information about the best personal protective equipment that could be worn, different things that our employees need to be aware of as we move into, for example, mosquito and tick season. It was really a very well-attended event, and we think that we will, as we do safety stand-downs, combine more of the health and wellness messaging that we need to get out to our own employees. Next, our Long Island Railroad confidential close call reporting system. We are having a meeting with our labor partners, the Department of Transportation, Volpe Center, and the Federal Railway Administration the week of May 12th. And that will help us facilitate the memorandum of understanding we need to put in place to go forward with the close call reporting system. We will be focusing on all crafts that have access to Holborn and Hillside yards. That will give us a widespread group of employees on which to pilot this program. Vendor verification and validation of software for the alerters is well in progress now. So that we are ready to validate the software that will go into the alerter system and expand the number of alerters we have in our cab cars. I also want to note that 91 Long Island Railroad engineers and 3 New York and Atlantic engineers were observed during 131 radar tests during this quarter. 14 event recorder downloads were analyzed as well, and all the engineers were in compliance. As you know, we did complete all the critical curves in our signal system, and work has begun on tangent track, and we have 3 of 8 segments that are being completed. Long Island Railroad and Metro North have really worked very closely to negotiate change orders, to accelerate the PTC delivery schedule, and we have a staff summary later in this morning's agenda to go over with you on that. And work has really begun on our signalization projects, both on Long Beach and Ronkonkoma-Yaphank, in terms of getting the design underway. I do want to note that as you look in our safety statistics, that the winter did pose a significant challenge to us. We had an increase in the number of employee injuries. In 2013, we had 37 employee injuries for that period, and in 2014, we had 63. They were primarily due to icing conditions with slip, trips, and falls, and we had a number of issues with regard to frozen windows, and we have a little bit of a campaign to examine what we can do on the windows of the M7s to ensure that they're easier to maneuver. We had a number of customer injuries as well that were really driven by the slip, trip, and fall conditions of this very harsh winter we had. And then one other area that seems to be, gaining, it's a small number, but I just want to mention medical conditions of customers on board trains. There were 8 reports in 2013 and 17 reports in 2014. So that's when we actually have to delay a train to get EMS to assist a customer who may be having a medical issue on board the train. On a very positive note, our TRACS program, which is ever popular, I have to pause and always thank MTA Police who support that. That's our education program on Long Island about the safety of grade crossings and Wait for the Gate campaign. We reach out in schools and in driver education programs to make sure young drivers and students are always aware of right-of-way safety and grade crossing safety. And we were able to get to our highest number in really 25 years. We're at 25,000 for the first quarter, where this is just a tremendous outreach to schools, and we appreciate the support that the police give us on that. I am going to note, and I want to thank several board members who joined us in a celebration on Thursday of the Long Island Railroad's 180th anniversary. In April 24th, 1834, the Long Island Railroad was chartered by the New York State Legislature. So we remain the oldest railroad in the United States, operating under its original name and its original charter. So that was a very nice celebration, and we appreciated the public, recognizing at Mineola Station. We received a really wonderful citation from the governor and both county executives celebrating our 180th birthday. I am going to close on a note about ridership. I want to make sure that I, go gently. While it was an uptick in ridership, and we're always very excited about that for the second month in the row. Commutation was up 1.2. Non-commutation was down about 1.7. But I have to be careful before I, really view this as a trend, because one factor that always influences ridership in the March-April timeframe is the vacation holiday schedule. So in 2013, both Passover and Good Friday occurred in March, and that could have attributed for a slightly less number of commutation tickets sold. This year, of course, both holidays were in 2014, so I won't really know how this evens out until I see the April numbers. But for now, I can say March was up. And that really closes our report.
Any questions for Helena? Chuck?
You mentioned the employee and other injuries. I noticed that if you look at pages 181 to 183 of the book, that injuries are up across the board. So, for example, the employee lost time injuries are the highest in the modern history of the Long Island Railroad. The FRA reportable injuries are higher than before. The total employee injuries are up, and the customer injuries are up. But you indicated that ice may have had something to do with it. And if you look on page 182, you'll see that the greatest increases are in areas like engineering and transportation. I'm trying to figure out how they get iced, so to speak.
Well, and that's a good question. Engineering is, of course, the track, power, and signal personnel who are out on the right-of-way, and they're the first line of response in any snowstorm. You know, they have to give us back the tracks, and they do that by cleaning out the switches, ensuring that the signal system is working, clearing away the snow, and that's when they are at risk for the slip, trips, and falls. And there's just a lot of issues with walking on ballast. And I know you would say, but they're trained to do that. We try to reinforce safe ways to approach it. But that's where we get the injuries. Transportation is also the platform, slip, trip, and fall, the staircases. They are often the first ones out there in a snowstorm.
Is there anything that you can think of that we ought to be doing that we haven't done to try and minimize that?
We are working on different strategies for educating our workforce. I think one of the issues, and we gently try to bring it to our own workforce's attention with the health and wellness events that we're holding. And that's why one of the reasons why we added health and wellness as a factor to our safety meetings. Paying attention to weight gain as you age up can make you a little less nimble out on the ballast and out on the right-of-way. So we're trying to give a message about how important it is for our own employees to maintain their healthy well-being as they're out there doing physically taxing jobs. These are very physically demanding, physically taxing jobs. We recognize that, especially in response to snow. So it's a combination, I think, of what we need to do to keep the education high and the workforce that's got to contribute to their own well-being.
Any other questions for Helena? Okay. Joe? Metro North?
Thank you. This is my first joint Railroad Committee meeting, and I appreciate the partnership with Helena and her staff on many efforts, as is evident by some of our joint procurements in today's agenda, including positive train control, mobile ticketing. I also want to acknowledge that, aside from the DOT Commissioner Jim Redeker, who's been out with me on meet and greets in some of our controversial areas, his deputy is Anna Barry. Jim comes from New Jersey Transit. Anna Barry and I have served on national committees for commuter rail, and she has a background with the MBTA, and I appreciate them being here today with us. I want to update you on several areas. First is our response to the Federal Railroad Administration's deep dive review, the status of the Metro North 100-day action plan, my appointments to top operating posts, our Mount Vernon substation upgrade, and an increase in the west of Hudson ridership. I'll open to all questions, but I'd like to be able to get through those first and then take the questions if the board is okay with that. Under the FRA deep dive, as I mentioned at our last meeting, Metro North has been working with the FRA since the first in recent series of accidents occurred last year, and has taken many important steps towards reestablishing safety as the unmistakable priority in running the railroad. Last week we had a progress meeting with the FRA on their deep dive review of Metro North Railroad. By May 17th, we'll submit a plan to the FRA that addresses all the actions outlined in the report. As I mentioned at our previous meetings, we are addressing many of the FRA's concerns in the 100-day action plan and implementing safety improvements in advance of our report back to the FRA. I have reorganized the Metro North Safety Department to focus solely on safety. This is in concert with our chairman's view that safety must be the top priority throughout the MTA. On March 11th and April 10th, we instituted a company-wide safety stand-downs. We committed to meetings of this nature every quarter. We've enhanced monitoring of compliance with speed restrictions. This monitoring is accomplished by reviewing the event data recorders from the randomly selected trains, by sending supervisors to ride trains and observe speeds, and by radar gun enforcement at locations throughout our network. We developed a plan to use advanced inspection technology to increase the effectiveness of the track inspections and ensure that the track is maintained to not only FRA standards, but Metro North track standards as well, which are higher than the FRA's. We completed ahead of schedule by May 1st the implementation of the Enhanced Employee Protection System, which we call EAPS. The industry-leading system developed in-house significantly increases the safety of workers on the tracks. It involves using a random, confidential, computer-generated code to the worker on the tracks. When it is time for the tracks to be returned to the service, this code must be communicated by the track worker to the train dispatcher and correctly entered into a computer system before trains can enter the area. Today, Metro-North Railroad and Long Island Railroad are asking, and Helena will discuss in detail, for the authorization to expand our contract and accelerate positive train control technology implementation sooner. We continue to work quickly, but are also taking the careful steps to do it correctly to ensure our customer safety. Metro-North Railroad and Long Island Railroad are also implementing a close call reporting system, C3RS. Confidential Close Call Reporting System, which is an FRA procedure that allows employees to anonymously report unsafe events and conditions that could lead to serious problems without fear of reprisal. These and other initiatives will be reflected in our 100-day action plan. In speaking of the 100-day action plan, as mentioned at the last meeting, Metro-North's plan outlines those concrete initiatives that will either be completed or begun in the 100 days. Each one must support one of the four important goals: promoting a culture of safety, adopting concrete safety enhancements, restoring reliable service, and improving communications, both to employees and customers. In addition to the FRA report, we will also include the findings of the MTA's Blue Ribbon Panel on Safety. That report will be coming to you soon. I would note a few updates on some of the initiatives of the action plan. Issuance of a new schedule on May 11th, one of the key elements of the 100-day action plan. We have handed out a memo as information on the schedule change, all east of Hudson lines included. Adjustments to the Metro-North schedules necessitated by last year's serious incidents and by infrastructure improvement work in New York and Connecticut increased the delays, overcrowding, especially on the New Haven line. We completed a detailed study of the New Haven line performance and running times, and by doing this, we will implement a new timetable on May 11th that is more reliable than the one today. The new May 11th schedule operates the same number of trains, restores the previous prior to summer of 2013 arrival times of AM peak trains at Grand Central Terminal. It improves the travel time in many cases compared to the schedule currently in effect. System-wide, 96% of the outbound AM peak customers will experience a shorter commute. However, overall travel times for most customers will continue to be longer than they were prior to April 2013. Improves reliability in light of changed operating conditions, and ensures appropriate track outage windows to assure our ability to perform the needed track inspections and maintenance work to advance our capital construction projects. On the Harlem line, the running time of most Harlem trains is up to 4 minutes shorter inbound and 1 to 2 minutes shorter outbound than it is currently. On the Hudson line, running time of most Hudson line trains is 1 to 2 minutes shorter inbound and 1 to 3 minutes longer outbound than it is currently. And New Haven line, running time on most of the New Haven line trains is up to 2 minutes shorter inbound and 1 minute shorter to 6 minute longer outbound than it is currently. Of AM peak New Haven line commuters in Connecticut, 83% of the commuters, and I need to emphasize this because either I said it wrong or was taken wrong, it's not 83% of the trains, 83% of the commuters will have a shorter commute time inbound to Grand Central than they do in the current schedule. Only 12% will have a slower inbound trip, and the remaining 5% will see no change to their inbound current commute times. The agreement under which Metro-North operates the New Haven line requires the approval of schedule changes by the Connecticut DOT. I have had numerous meetings on them. The Connecticut DOT has approved the schedule change and asked me to implement further service enhancements with the next schedule change. We are reviewing that now. We do agree that there are things that can be done with the next schedule change. We will work together with Connecticut. They have already approved the funding for this. We will also review our performance targets, and after we have ensured a safe and reliable May 11th schedule change, we are going to work with them on meeting those objectives as well. The Bronx Track Program, which we began last month, will be completed before the May 11th schedule change. We have created additional opportunities for two-way dialogue between Metro-North Railroad and its customers. We committed to 6 informal meetings during the 100 days. So far, our forums in Grand Central Terminal, White Plains, Stamford, and Connecticut Commuter Rail Council's Westport Forum have been very informative, and I thank Board Member Jim Blair for joining me on several of those. These informal meetings have given me and my senior staff an opportunity to spend a considerable amount of time speaking with the people whose lives this railroad affects so deeply, our customers who ride it, and the elected officials who support it. In addition, I have visited with the employees at our Harmon, Highbridge, and New Haven facilities, and I look forward to more of these visits. My deadline for the plan is June 11th. Some milestones have been achieved already, and we have a scorecard up on the web to keep customers and other stakeholders informed of our progress. As many of the initiatives will continue beyond June 11th, we have a lot of work to do to create a culture in which safety is the most important priority, to fix what is broken with this railroad, its physical plants, its procedures, and its organizational structure. To win back the confidence and trust of our customers and other stakeholders, you have my commitment and that of my senior team that we will continue to work hard to achieve these goals. With the appointments, I have made some changes in senior management with the appointment of 3 seasoned railroad veterans to the top operational posts. Glenn Hayden, could you acknowledge? As the Vice President of Engineering, Glenn heads up Metro-North's Maintenance Away Department. Jim Redeker will tell you that I stole him from the state of Connecticut, but we will beg, borrow, and steal whatever we need to try and get this railroad back on track. And he is responsible for the integrity of the track and the associated structures. Mike Yeager could not be here. He has the flu, but Mike Yeager is responsible for overseeing the maintenance of the railroad's fleet, rail cars, and work trains. And Kevin O'Connor, as a Chief Transportation Officer, is responsible for the day-to-day operation of the trains. Additionally, has experience in implementing the FRA's confidential close call reporting system. I'll get it right. I am confident that these highly experienced professionals will provide the leadership that Metro-North needs to refocus its attentions on safety and reliability and customer service, and in the process to rebuild its reputation for excellence. Mount Vernon substation upgrades. Tim McCarthy is out there. On April 18th, we began to work to upgrade the power supply for the New Haven line at Mount Vernon East substation to provide additional redundancy. The project team is led by Tim, where the railroad is replacing 4 35-year-old transformers with 2 new ones that will ensure reliability to handle additional power loads and allow the electricity generated by the brakes of the railroad's new fleet of M8s to be fed back into the power grid. In order to accommodate this installation and minimize the service disruption, Metro-North, Con Edison, and the New York Power Authority developed a contingency plan to assure continued power service to the Mount Vernon substation and submitted it to the New York State Department of Public Service for an independent third-party review and approval. The plan draws upon already completed in the overall improvement of the power supply to New Haven line. 1 new transformer was installed at Mount Vernon last fall, and it is adequate to serve the power needs of the line. The 2nd new transformer is being installed this weekend, and connecting it will take about a month. Last month, a similar upgrade was completed with Connecticut DOT, doubling the capacity at Coscob West substation. It is now possible to deliver power to the New York segment of the New Haven line through an upgraded tie-in system at Harrison and Rye switching substations. These upgrades will serve as a third supply source in the unlikely event that power is lost at the Mount Vernon substation during installation of the East transformer. The contingency plan is sound. It is backed by this new Harrison tie system. Replacing this old substation is an important step in improving the power supply to the New Haven line overall. While these improvements reduce the possibility of a full power outage, if that did occur, it will take up to 2 hours to activate the tie. However, once the tie is activated, Metro-North will be able to operate a regular train service through the area with some delays possible. Customers will be kept informed should that occur. Metro-North hired the New York Power Authority to design and replace the existing substation, including a new breaker house at Pelham, new 27 kilovolt feeders, new switchgears at New Rochelle, and a new power supply station for the signal system at the same location. The Con Edison supply to this into the substations is 138 kilovolts, which the transformers step down to 27 kilovolts in order to feed the overhead catenary system that supplies electricity to the train. The substation sits in a large yard surrounded by a chain link fence that will be replaced with a more secure wall as part of a $51 million project. When completed, this project will enable us to use the regenerative brake technology on the newest rail cars, and this excess electricity reduces Metro-North's overall power demand. To take advantage of this potential power savings, the existing controls and metering at Mount Vernon East Substation will also be reconfigured. And unfortunately, I don't have the same positive news as my counterpart here does. Our total ridership is down 1.7% year-to-date as compared with last year. Our west of Hudson ridership has increased 1.1% versus March 2013. West of Hudson ridership continues to slowly rebound from the large ridership losses which occurred after 2009. That completes my report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Questions for Joe? Susan?
I too was pleased to see that west of Hudson ridership is coming back in the kind of percents that we've seen in the past. The good thing about a bad winter is it reminds people that trains are very reliable transit. If we want to continue to see that increase, we need to expand service and work with New Jersey Transit as well to help assure that our customers get through the Northeast Corridor. Thanks.
Anyone else? Jim? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner. I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to speak to Connecticut and our approval of the schedule. We've been working very hard, and I appreciate Joe and his entire team working with Connecticut. Governor Malloy made it very clear what his expectations were. They were hitting on 4 cylinders. Those cylinders are safety, reliability, travel time, and frequency. This schedule does not achieve them all. It only achieves 2 out of 4. Metro-North has always provided all 4 of those, and Connecticut's New Haven Line customers really are not receiving that service. And just to be clear, this schedule does improve conditions for our riders over today's schedule. But compared to a year ago, New Haven customers themselves will see 6 or more minutes on average, up to 9 minutes on average, more time than last April. Stamford residents will and customers will see 2 to 3 minutes more than last April, and frequency is not what our expectations were. So our approval comes with the commitment to work together, which we're doing very, very well, and I appreciate that. And so with that, I'm happy to provide that approval from the governor today.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And I'm sure all the people at Metro-North appreciate it also. Thank you. Anyone else? If not, okay. Capital Construction, Michael?
Just wanted to report that one of our vent plants on 50th Street, the work has been completed, and we are now in the closeout process for that. At 55th Street vent plant, the installation of concrete continues in the plenum and the cavern area, and we expect to restore the street, East 55th Street, to both pedestrian and complete traffic in the spring of early spring of 2015 next year. We have also would like to mention the fact that we have awarded 2 contracts last month, actually at the end of the month, March 28th. The Frontier Kemper construction of the northern all the northern tunnels, the permanent lining, dock benches, MEP on all the running tunnels north of the caverns for a total of $294 million. And we have also awarded a contract to Tutor Perini that includes 7 options for a total, when you look at it, including the options of $550 million. The concourse and facility fit-out that will follow these contracts is being advertised as we speak. In the next couple of days will be advertised, and we expect to have an award sometime in November this year. I would like to mention something that we have had an issue earlier this month. We discovered 5 sinkholes in the Harold interlocking. And our team, along with Long Island Railroad and Amtrak, immediately initiated several actions, including investigation of subsurface conditions. We have retained an independent geotechnical engineer in order to ensure total objectivity. And the investigation center on determining potential causes that created the subsurface voids that were found in the vicinity of both recent microtunneling activities and around one catenary pole. The catenary pole, for our catenary poles, because of their locations, all the foundations were hand dug. And it appears that one of them that was dug actually in 2008, and we have looked at inspection reports as well. They have removed at the time a boulder or a number of boulder that extended some voids outside the perimeter of the foundation. And at that time, in 2008, there was not in place a procedure to grout back the location. That was actually put back immediately after that, without any relationship to anything, but that was something that we put in place in early 2010. That area that we discovered has been grouted and is now stable, but we found, doing a very extensive investigation, actually, that the catenary foundations are all solid, and we didn't have to worry about that. At this point, we're doing also borings, and these are on top of our microtunnels, just to ascertain if there are any issues that are being created by the microtunnels. In effect, we have halted, pending our investigation, all work, and we're now in the process of reactivating some of the work that we have already determined that there are no issues with. So, yeah.
Sinkholes that you encountered, was that because the existing ground was overhanging that and it wasn't compacted properly when it was backfilled?
What happened is there were 5 of them. 2 of them were actually not sinkholes, they were depression.
Just a void?
Just a small depression that was tempered back in. There is one specific one that actually was deeper, and then we had to look very carefully about what exactly brought about it. And our conclusion was that, or the engineers, that when they dug them out, they took boulders. The boulders extended outside the perimeter of our foundation. So, I'm sorry, let me just make sure I shut my phone. Basically, what happened is that normally what you need to do, and we have established a procedure immediately after that, after I got here, to fill in the voids, because once you take a boulder and it's outside the perimeter of the area that you're digging, you need to back it in.
How many yards of material, though, did it take to do that? Was this a big hole, or was it?
Oh, 40 feet deep.
40 feet deep?
All our foundations go 40 feet deep in between.
Wait, the void wasn't 40 feet.
No, the void was not 40 feet deep. No, but the excavation goes 40 feet deep. Yes.
We're not going to China.
And there were no backfill procedures that were?
Oh, there were backfill procedures for sure. Yes, there were.
That's why I asked how many yards.
There were backfill procedures. The way, probably, and I'm just going to try to explain it because I have not looked. But when you do a backfill procedure, you go down 40 feet. You're gonna have to, because it's dug by hand, you have shoring to protect it. If you're taking out boulders outside the shoring, the question was, what do you do with that? And that should have been actually filled in with grout, and it was not.
I understand.
That's
How
why
many
we
yards
believe
was
that.
my question.
Oh gosh, I don't know the
think
details.
100 yards, or was it?
I don't know the details.
I believe the void was 9 feet, and they used 3 cubic yards of flowable fill.
Okay, that's
which
the grout
then,
end of it.
right, that grouted it in.
Okay, I
Just to give you a
understand now. You don't
size,
have to-
yeah.
But that was, if you look at it, 6 years after That was,
Oh, it was
there were
6 years.
yeah, it was in 2008 done, and that happened 6 years later. So I have to assume that there are lots of
Vibration and stuff. Got it,
shifting
got it.
of material that happened in between, so.
Okay.
So just wanted to make sure that I am actually explaining what has happened, and we are still looking at a couple of things to make sure that these things will not reoccur, particularly in the area that we're doing micro-tunneling that
Satisfied.
possibly
Thank
would
you.
have shifted the ground. I have one thing that I wanted to show you, because I believe in sometimes that the picture is worth 1,000 words, about the work that we are doing in Manhattan right now, in both the caverns and the southern tunnels. Just to make a point that the caverns are actually now being waterproofed. The reinforcement for the inverts are right now in place, and we're pouring concrete. So they will be ready for the next contract that will finish the caverns that will be advertised sometimes towards the end of this year. This is a brief presentation on that. That's it. Any questions?
Question for Michael. Okay, thank you, Michael. Chief?
Good morning. As you can see from the police report, beginning on page 35, we did have an increase, 31 incidents compared to 23 last year. This was driven by larcenies, 25 compared to 13. Of those 25, 15 of those were unattended property. There were 2 cell phones, 2 copper theft incidents. The rest were miscellaneous properties. There were no discernible patterns to these thefts. And also just a quick reminder, another TVM skimmer and camera was discovered at Baldwin by a routine inspection from the Long Island Railroad TVM crew. They notified us right away. No customers were affected. That investigation is ongoing. I just do remind people the customers to just proceed with caution, although we have not discovered any other machines since that one. If you have any questions.
Information items. Long Island Railroad.
Okay, thank you very much. Our information items begin on page 42. We have a number of items that are in the book, and I'm going to just take them all together and then questions at the end. We have the final review of our 2013 operating budget results, the annual inventory report, track work and timetable changes. I would note on track work and timetable that on May 3rd, our Greenport weekend service will resume. We're very pleased to launch that. That's based on the enhanced service opportunities that the board previously approved that allowed us to extend the weekends for Greenport to capture more of the spring and fall service opportunities to Greenport. We have a number of track projects that you'll see in there as well. And then on page 94, I'd like to call your attention to a request to the board. It's an information item, actually. It's based on a previous request where the board had authorized the MTA Director of Safety and Security, and I did see our director here, Ray Diaz, earlier, authorization to sign an agreement with Amtrak to use the Amtrak antenna system in the East River tunnels for our police radio project coverage. As you know, we've been embarking on a police radio project that one of the key aspects of that project is to use existing assets that are already in place to fill out a more robust and modern police radio system for our MTA police. So we already have signed an agreement with Metro 21. That was a previous agreement. We have one in place with Connecticut that has really enhanced our coverage. We are delighted to have this agreement in place with Amtrak that will then give us coverage in the East River tunnels. And we already have some Grand Central coverage as well. So this gives you, an overview of what that opportunity is, and Ray will go ahead and execute that agreement. I'm also going to take a moment just to call your attention to a staff summary that's in the Metro North section on page 136. And that has to do with the antennas that we require for the police radio project. And it's a real estate item. We are just flagging this for your attention. There'll be a full presentation at real estate. I'll be joining Jeff Rosen, and Joe has some representatives there as well, and Jeff will be presenting this at Finance for greater discussion. But we wanted to ensure that you saw it in the operating committee's agenda as well. And then finally, on page 95, you will note that we have an information item. Again, this is going to Finance, and it is actually, they may want to vote on this, Mitch, and it may be just placed incorrectly in the information item, because the staff summary is for approval for an RFP process. We would issue an RFP for proposed vendors to provide and operate weekday bus service in the event that Long Island Railroad has a work stoppage based on its labor relations and inability to reach a collective bargaining agreement. Both the employees and the employer have the right to self-help. The clock ticks down on July 20th. And we would look to have some alternative bus operations in place. And this is an RFP that would allow us to solicit vendors to provide that service. So those are the items, and again, I do think, based on the request for approval, and I know it's going to Finance anyway, but they may be asking the committee for approval.
Okay. Motion to approve the last piece, and then we'll get questions first. Chuck?
Chairman, I'll deal with the item on page 95, which I will move to table in just a moment. I have a question first. If you look at page 62, I get the impression, and I'd like to be corrected if I'm wrong, that approximately 3 managers or supervisors exist for every hourly worker in the Long Island Railroad system. Is that correct? And if so, why?
Managers, supervisors, So technically, this was or below and headcount variances. I'm sorry, if you could give me the question again?
Sure. You have 6,727 total active paid employees, consisting of 1,396 managers supervisors. That's roughly 3 supervisors and managers for every employee.
The other way.
One for every 3, I meant.
Yeah, one for every 3.
Why is that? Isn't that pretty high?
That includes representative.
Why don't you put your mic
Yeah.
on, Mike, and answer the question?
You know, Mike Gelomino, my Senior VP of Operations, that number also includes represented supervisors. So while it's managerial slash supervisor, they are also represented employees.
I understand that, but why do you need so many people of a supervisory nature for every worker?
You know, I'm going to have to address that perhaps
In other words, why the
offline from this.
percentage? Seems to me that you'd have one boss for every 10, maybe 11, but one for every 3?
In some locations, the span of
Right.
control is like that.
Right. You know, we don't want you to reach a conclusion that span of control is automatically those numbers. It's not linear. We'll get back to you and give you a sense of what the span of control is for our
I gotta
managers.
tell you, I really want this,
Yeah.
because it troubles me.
Yes, we will get back to you. And again, as you know, there's a lot of historic titles used in railroading, and I don't want you to draw any conclusions as
I
to
also understand
who's...
it's a way of compensating people who are
Right.
not being adequately compensated by other means. But it still means that there are an awful lot of bosses for a relatively few number of people they're supervising. So if you can get that information
will.
to me, I'd like to have.
Yes.
I'd like, if it's timely now, to make a
Let
motion.
me just,
to
let me,
take-
hold that for 1 second. Let me just ask, are there any other questions or comments for Helena on any of the items first, Chuck, and then we'll get back to you, okay? Ira?
Yes, on that same, on 60, well, I was wondering about that too, and I think it'd be good to know what these people do. You call someone a supervisor, but what do they really do is, I think, the question that comes. But on page 61, I just happened to notice that information technology, there's a variance of 14 people, which is high considering the whole division. Does that include customer information or what's information technology? And why are we missing that many people?
Mark?
Yes, Mark Young. No, this is the Information Technology Department, which is supporting network infrastructure, application projects, et cetera. It's not like public information office or that type of thing. That's in a different department.
But why, are we down 14 people because there's some movement to change it to centralized MTA, or we're just looking for more people?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, there's normal attrition that had taken place. We had gone throughout the whole MTA the last few months. We went through a period of reassessing our process for filling vacant positions, and there was a little bit as we went through the MTA, as we're going through the MTA consolidation and transformation, a reassessment at MTA about relooking at the positions.
There's another question. I think there's an error in the comparison of final estimate versus actual and adopted budget versus actual. Page 64 summarizes it. I think it's just a language thing. But my question, actually, whether there's an error or not, is a lower yield per passenger. And then at one point it says a lower than budgeted ridership that resulted in revenue one of them says budget versus actual, a revenue decrease of 0.7 million. And then one says a net, and then the other one, estimate versus actual, is a net increase of 0.6 million. I think there's just if you look at the numbers, it's...
Right.
There's an error.
What it's, I'll check. I don't believe it's an error, but
It's not?
What it's trying to explain here is the positive and negative offsets that ultimately resulted in.
Right, but I think there's, you know what, okay, I think it's switched in one of them, because the ridership went up. I think it's what I'm trying to find out is whether, is there a lower yield or a higher yield per passenger?
Okay, we'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, get back to me. I'm a little bit...
Lower or higher?
The yield per passenger is interesting because people taking longer trips, shorter trips, and you know, I think this year it shows that there's a higher yield per passenger going forward, but it'd be good to see about that. I
Page
think
64.
see if there's anything else in this. That's it, thank you.
Any other questions or any other items, then we'll go back to Doug. Yeah? Chuck, page 95.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to move at this point to table this item. It seems to me to be an attempt to provoke the union in the negotiations. This agency has had considerable experience in recent months and in the past in being able to muster buses whenever needed. When you have people like Darrell Eric and Carmen Bianco, they can put a bus together and a bus fleet together in a nanosecond. This potential strike is 3 months off. We have had one experience after another, in my view, where we are seeking, or at least giving the impression that we are seeking to provoke this union and to provoke these circumstances under things that I regard as highly inappropriate. It seems to me that if we spent as much time in trying to come to a resolution here as we spend in trying to anticipate a strike, we'd be a hell of a lot better off. I know that the vice chair of this committee has for months been trying to be a bridge to a solution. I know that former counsel to the TWU, the late Basil Patterson, has offered to do that. I know that Governor Patterson has offered to do that. I think that instead of trying to do something that has at least the potentiality of being provocative, we ought to table it and spend the time trying to get a deal here. Deals are not made by provocation. It seems to me, and let me be very clear, I am not charging management of the Long Island Railroad with any act of provocation, nor am I charging senior management, including the CEO, of that. I do charge the mercenaries who are at work and who actually run the labor relations for this agency. It seems to me that the time has come to put that aside. And this agency has long had a reputation of having the worst labor relations record in the entire state. Not because of the fault of management of the railroad, not because of the fault of successive chairmen of this agency. We have a terrible labor record. And all we do by this sort of stuff is make it worse. I therefore move to table it. Doesn't mean you don't get buses if it becomes real, but you don't provoke.
Thank you, Chuck. Is there a second to Commissioner Merdler's motion? Bill, you want to say something?
Sure. I'm Bill Wheeler, the head of planning for prosecution. We've been here for many, many years. And I've also participated in these exercises in the past. Acting now will allow us to fully advertise this opportunity to the bus industry. The scale of this operation is quite a bit different than the scale of some of the other interim bus operations for things like servicing documents. This will allow us to go far and wide and have the best chance of getting the most qualified suppliers to do this. That's all it is. And as you know, you as a board have encouraged us in the past to cast a wide net.
Strike breaking and attempts to it and to provoke it are reprehensible. This agency has a reputation that is dreadful in the labor field, and all this will do is make it worse. I understand you have done a superb job of planning. I understand fully that management of this railroad has a deliberate desire to do the best it can for all of its employees and not to provoke. I don't question that. My fault lies with the mercenaries who create these kind of situations. And my point to you is, this is not a positive act. This will not encourage good labor relations. All I ask you to do is table it for 30 days so that we can spend those 30 days constructively.
All I'm saying, and I appreciate that, and I understand, this is a complex issue. If we postpone this and extend it 30 days, we will not have the opportunity to advertise. We will be calling bus companies and soliciting their support that way. And based on my experience and having gone through this before in the 80s and the 90s, it would be more prudent
It would be just more prudent to be able to go now and seek our best opportunities for suppliers.
I would remind you, even under the Taylor law, which bars strikes, these kind of acts of provocation justify a strike. I don't say one is justified here by any stretch of the imagination, nor do I urge one. But I say to you, spend the time to put together a contract and sound labor relations.
I can tell you, Chuck, that a number of us share the same concern that you do, and those concerns were expressed. We have been requested to at least let this go to finance, at which finance will have a lengthier discussion about the issue. A number of us have expressed concerns about doing this at this time, and we were requested to at least let the process go to that point. So with that, without a second, I would, allow it to go to finance. All in favor? And then we'll have that larger discussion at finance.
Please record me in the negative.
Please record Commissioner Burdler in the negative on that discussion. Thank you. Okay. Information, that's it, Helena?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, information items for Metro North.
The first is the following reports are presented in the agenda book in accordance with the committee's work plan. The final review of the 2013 operating budget results. Information is in the book, and we're available to answer any questions.
Any questions on the information on page 98? Not? Okay.
Under the annual inventory report, Anthony Bumbase will provide some highlights of the report, but prior to that, I would like to point out, Anthony, where are you? Good. I want to take a moment and recognize Anthony Bumbase, Senior Director of Procurement and Material Management, who will be retiring after a long and successful railroad career. He started in 1979 with Conrail in the Operations Plannings Department and helped to usher in Metro North when it was formed in 1983. He worked in Metro North's accounting department, eventually transferring to procurement and material management. It was there he found his niche, rising steadily through the ranks to his current position of senior director. He has effectively managed and led the department's 170 employees who directly support the operation of the railroad. From tools to track, fuel, rail cars, new technology, resources for major capital programs, and everything in between, Anthony has ensured their availability to maintain the railroad's operation. Additionally, Anthony has been responsible for 16 warehouses with approximately 175,000 square feet, which had stored the inventory critical to the railroad's operation. Throughout Anthony's tenure, he attained the vast knowledge of Metro North's operations and is viewed by many as the pillar of the procurement department. He has continually been acknowledged for his high standard of integrity, strong work ethic, and leadership with both internal and external customers. I ask that you all join me in wishing him well in his retirement. Anthony.
Thank you, Joe. You have a way of putting me on the spot, so all I have to do is really... I know, right, Mitch? I just first off like to thank you, Joe, for your trust and your confidence in me and the department. The department will go forward in a great way for you and for Metro North and the MTA. And I appreciate the kind words. And again, thank you very, very much. In a summary of the inventory report, although this is a 2013 year-end report, the complete picture is really one for the period of 2008 to 2013. 2008 is key because it is the year the global financial crisis really took hold. During that same time period, Metro North's Procurement and Material Management Department put in place efforts and initiatives to improve service to its internal customers while reducing inventory investment. The initiatives have focused intensively on statistical analysis and detailed inventory monitoring while using state-of-the-art forecasting software. The service level to our customers, which is the percentage of time when someone goes to a storeroom window for material and the part is there, is at an all-time high of 98.3%. This was attained while simultaneously reducing or right-sizing the stock inventory by 10%, or $11 million, while the fleet size increased 9%. And major events such as Hurricane Sandy and a major MFW rehab effort was undertaken. These accomplishments are all based on management leadership throughout my storerooms and in the material management department and throughout the department itself, and in cooperation and communication with the user departments and good old hard work. Again, I thank you, Joe, and I thank the board for the confidence and the communication it has shown me in the past, and hopefully it will continue through the years ahead for the rest of my department. Thank you again. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Any questions on inventory? Okay, police radio? On page 136.
And that's the item that's going to finance.
Right.
So we just wanted to flag it for our operating committees, but there'll be a full presentation by real estate at the finance committee.
Any questions on that? Okay. Any further questions on any of the information items? We'll go to procurements. Long Island Railroad?
Okay, thank you very much. I, of course, have to take a moment to also express my appreciation for the great work Anthony Bombase has done. Anthony, we're going to miss you. When we really embarked, and I now have to go back, really 2007 on a real initiative to bring the two railroads procurements together in a very aggressive way to make sure that we were maximizing the opportunities for purchasing, that we were working together on developing uniform specifications, that we were bringing transit in everywhere we could. I have to just thank Anthony and, of course, Dennis Mann. They have been joined at the hip on this initiative. They've done a great job. Don't talk to Dennis, Anthony. We wish you well. We want you to go out and enjoy your retirement. But I do have to say we're going to miss you. And I thank you very much personally for the number of times I've been able to call over to Anthony specifically and say, help me sort this one out and get the two railroads aligned to move forward. And I think this board probably has seen the dramatic difference in the way we've been doing procurements as a joint railroad operation. Okay, with that, I do have two non-competitive items. This is a perfect example of being able to get uniform requirements from Long Island Railroad, Metro North, New York City Transit to cover all of our procurement, leverage that into a better opportunity with Foster Rail Technologies. We also have Metro North and Long Island Railroad with a 3-year agreement for North American equipment sales. Again, these are very specific railroading requirements and railroading materials that are supplied by the industry. They're both non-competitive, but we believe that we've done a very good job of ascertaining reasonable price, and we request approval to these non-competitive procurements.
Hold on. Motion to approve? Wait. Second? Now. Chuck?
I'd like to focus, if you will, on pages 151, 152.
We're not there yet. Just
Okay.
wait, hold up on that.
No problem.
Okay.
Question on these.
On 147?
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a parting question for Anthony. With both of these, or either both, if you could explain, does anybody else in the industry make this equipment, or are we pretty much locked with them?
We say Long Island Railroad was in the lead, which is why I'm presenting, so it's not actually fair to Anthony to put him on the spot.
All right, okay, I'm not putting him
Alina will
on,
answer
but he's
the
very good with the explanations on these. I talked to him about it. He knows the industry, so that's why I'm just wondering about these.
With that, we're going to make Anthony come back every month to the committee meeting to answer the question.
I do have Cindy Carter here, although Anthony, I know, can jump in on this as well.
Okay, Cindy. Right.
These are very specific items that support the equipment we already have. And Foster bought Portec, its original Portec equipment. We want to make sure it functions and it can be maintained according to the specs by Portec. So then we use their lubrication equipment.
So when we buy this equipment originally, we go in with the understanding that we're probably wedded to these people for I only want to keep it.
I think that's a very important point. I know it's one, Commissioner Merdler has talked to us at length about. We're working hard, for example, in the M9 procurement, to get more diversity of the subcomponents and make sure that we have more leverage in those negotiations. But yes, when you look at very specific rail equipment, that you want to make sure operates, according to a certain standard, you are wedded to them in some part for the replacement parts.
So, I mean, is there a way when we enter into purchasing the original equipment, we could enter into a long-term supply agreement with them as well? I mean, I don't see the reason for this.
I think that is one of the issues that we are trying to move more aggressively in with the M9 procurement. And it's really been this board saying, try to tie more long-term requirements into your original purchase so that you maintain more leverage.
But beyond, I mean, the M9's car equipment, I meant in these areas as well.
Well, and I think these areas would be examples of things we could do better in the future. But right now, we're living with what we did in the past.
Okay.
Jim?
Helena, I notice here that you do have a most favored nation clause, which should answer that issue to a certain extent in that we're not getting worse treatment than any other customer of this vendor.
That's correct, yes, and we monitor that, yes. Okay.
Anything else on these two items first? Okay, we have a motion second. All in favor on these two items? Aye. Opposed? Okay, now we're going to go to the Long Island Railroad competitive procurements, which are on page 153. And there is a handout at your table. We'll go back to that when Metro North happens.
Yeah.
We'll go back.
Oh, I see.
We're going to go back. We'll go back. Don't.
Got it.
Right. Okay, so
there is a handout at your desk. There was a mathematical computation error. I probably made it in regard to the total, which is why there is a new sheet. Alina.
Okay, so there are 3 competitive items in this section, and the first you have heard speakers mention. It's the request for the authorization to use an RFP procurement method for our replacement of the Ellison Avenue Bridge. I want to point out that this is a project labor agreement, and we are soliciting a design-build contract, which we are eagerly anticipating the opportunity to go forward on this project. The second one is the beginning of our Jamaica Capacity Improvement Project, Phase 1. And this is the opportunity to use a design-build services contract for reconfiguration of the Johnson Avenue yard. We have to reconfigure this yard to make room for the new platform that will service Brooklyn to Jamaica as part of our East Side Access readiness, and we are very pleased to be moving forward on this first initiative under Jamaica Capacity Improvements Phase 1. So again, this is the actual approval of the yard contract. And then the third item, which I do want to spend a moment on, and that's on behalf of Long Island Railroad and Metro North. It is for change orders that allow us to move forward, accelerate the PTC project. As you know, in November, we asked for approval of the major contract with our joint venture, the systems integrator. We were asked by the chairman to go back in December and negotiate any opportunity to accelerate the schedule. And, we're very pleased that we are able to bring forward to you an acceleration of that schedule. We have been negotiating with them. There are 3 change orders. The first is in the amount of $4.5 million, and it accelerates the delivery of the onboard equipment kits for Long Island Railroad, and it accelerates it for Metro North as well. Change order number 2 is in the amount of $5.8 million, and that accelerates the delivery of the PTC wayside equipment kits, and that's about 12 months for both railroads. And then there's a change order 3 that's very important, and it really takes advantage of a Metro North opportunity and it's in the amount of $1 million, and it's for the early delivery of wayside transponders. So, Metro North's M8 equipment comes already equipped with onboard equipment, which would allow the wayside transponders to be put in use early, give Metro North civil speed restrictions and MAS restrictions, which will help them in their approach to speed restrictions and compliance on that line. So we request approval. The 3 change orders is approximately $11.32 million. I will say to you that it's always difficult when you're negotiating change orders. You know that as a board. And we tried to look at the reasonableness of each of the change orders, given that the overall contract is $428 million. We felt that these represented approximately 2.6% of the total. It did give us a 1-year acceleration in completing the PTC project. I do want to note that there are still schedule risks attached to the project, and there are a number of things that we have to continue to monitor to make sure that this project moves along. Whenever you're making an investment of this magnitude in new technology, it is extremely important that we get success of the pilot project. Say that we are moving aggressively to complete PTC, but at the same time, we will be very aggressive in ensuring that we spend the money correctly, wisely, by doing a very, full pilot program on both railroads to make sure that we address the risks that are inherent in PTC technology. In launching new, PTC works, we know that it will work, but there's a period of making sure that the technology meets all of our requirements. Yes.
Call.
Well,
Information, these design-build projects can be a godsend a lot of times. I mean, nothing is foolproof, but when you design something and then go to build it and guarantee you're going to build it as you designed it, you can't come back and say to the MTA, you guys gave me the plans and specs and it's not working, and we want a change order. It's in your hands, and you have to complete it the way you said that you would. I mean, there are always things that you run into, but it puts them at a minimum. And I think that it's good, and if we try to do these more often, it's beneficial to us, I think, in the long run.
thank you very much for recognizing that. We went forward on a design build after we had a 30% design for the double track project. The prices came in very competitive because of that, and we think we'll have that opportunity here as well.
Norman?
I'm Norman. Yeah, the design build, is clear. You've reached certain economies by doing a design build, which that's why you do it. On the other hand, doesn't that also restrict the number of bidders you have in any particular project by the same function? So that on one hand, you're always telling we want more bidders, we want more competition. On the other hand, to the extent you do a design build, now you've restricted the number of bidders that would otherwise be on the project, so that you'll turn around 5 years from now and go, well, we only had one bidder, or no, not one bidder, we only had 3 bidders instead of 6 bidders. There would be 6 bidders on if it was two pieces to the project, and to the extent you do D-BOMs, design, build, operate, maintain, you have even fewer bidders, and while you may get good prices for your project at that particular moment, don't you sacrifice competition in the long run?
We actually did not see that. We did not see it on the double track, and we did not see it in the Johnson Yard, where we had 6 really wonderful, opportunities, 6, proposers. We were able to shortlist. We were very competitive in the final 3 that were evaluated. We actually think that the industry is waiting for us, and are very pleased to have the opportunity to do design build. We saw a price opportunity for us in it, and we think that it helps get these public projects done in a faster timeline. So I will assure you, Commissioner, we will monitor that we maintain competition. we think that that's an extremely important part of a design-build effort. And if we see that we are losing that competition, we'll reach out and figure out what's going on in the industry. But right now, it has sparked, really a good competition.
Helena, not meaning to drag this out, but every bidder, I want to clarify this, is given a parameter to work within, or parameters. And you have, there's test borings giving, there's all kinds of information, so all the bidders have a good chance of bidding on it. And even if they don't have their own engineering department, they can hire engineers to give them a hand with it, to put it together. So I think that the pluses outdo anything other than that, because if you have somebody say they're going to build something according to specs and you approve, you get a chance to approve what they tell you they're going to do. Even traffic control's controlled. So you go in there and everybody's eyes are wide open, and I think that it's a lot less problems. So I recommend you use it.
Chuck, did you have something you wanted to add on that, on these, any of these three items?
Yes, I have
Go ahead.
comments on three of them, if I may.
Go right ahead.
The first is a question on page 152. What was the significant adverse information concerning that bidder?
We're not on 152 yet.
Where are we now?
We're on 153, right? Right, we're on 153. We'll get to 152.
Okay, then we'll do that.
That'll be next.
157. Are we there yet?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. 157, go.
This is Chavon.
Yes.
There again, what was, I assume the significant adverse information are the proceedings brought by the federal government against Chavon, or is it something else?
I'm going to ask Rich Gans to assist me on that.
Then why are we saying under the WBE that Chavon Construction have achieved previous goals on record on recent MTA contracts?
Correct. Since those issues came up, they went very well. They recommended highly by the transit authorities we were working to move on. So since the issues of those issues were serious, and it wasn't signed off by the chairman, they have instituted new reform that was very well.
Do you have a monitor in place to make sure that they continue?
Correct.
Does that monitor report to the federal court?
Reports to the MTA, OG, and the others, so they report to us.
And will they report to the federal court as well? Isn't there wasn't there a settlement in the federal court on this?
What's the federal settlement? I will check on that for you.
All right.
Required further.
Let me then turn to, are we on 158, 159?
Yes.
Are we there yet?
Yes. That you're good, go.
I have a couple of questions, if you will turn to page 159. The statement there is made that the parties have agreed to a reasonable apportionment of risk factors. And though the railroads have worked diligently to verify the expected increased costs, although it is inherently difficult to cost out the acceleration of certain elements within a large and complex design and manufacturing. Why isn't this a time, materials, and delay damage case where you'll have a bonus for accelerated performance and a penalty for non-performance or delay?
We felt that a time and materials would be even more difficult to actually ascertain real costs, and that it might add further delay to the project than we wanted. So we went through a very lengthy negotiation to try to reasonably assess the risks involved for both parties, both the manufacturer, and it's a joint venture, as well as our ability to provide the equipment for the onboard installations and to give right-of-way access for the wayside equipment installations. And we felt that this was an approach that would provide a better way to achieve the end result, which is get PTC done.
Then, let me ask you this. Why was there not an interim request for other people to take a shot at this? Maybe they can do it cheaper, better?
Again, this was only a 2.6 percentage change in the price, and the second proposer in the original procurement that was approved by this board in November was $52 million difference. So we are still vastly different than any other proposer. And of course, you can't have the equipment that is required, the wayside and onboard equipment supplied by different manufacturers. It's got to be a system that is guaranteed by the system integrator.
See,
Just,
okay,
go ahead, Chuck, you're finished, go ahead.
Finish.
Go ahead, finish.
Let me just ask one last question. All right, why don't you go ahead, John?
Gentlemen?
Now I can see you, Helena, so if you
Yes.
start nodding.
I apologize, I was. We were on the phone and I was nodding.
I couldn't see your nod over there. I just want to make sure, thank you, that I understand number 5. So rather than focus on the mere 2.6%, I'll focus on the over $11 million cost. It's the same
The
number,
11
it's
million,
just
yes.
11 sounds
Yes,
higher.
yes,
than
yes.
2.6. So we now want to accelerate, and therefore that acceleration is leading to an increased cost. Please, why?
We have asked the joint venture to produce equipment faster than they had originally planned to. So, for example, they have to increase their manufacturing output. They're actually going to find a larger manufacturing facility to be able to meet our needs. So that was, one of the prime reasons for the cost.
But they'll also be done quicker, so they can move on to other projects, right? It's the same work, it's just a slightly faster time schedule.
There are some inherent issues, though, as to whether, in fact, what you just said, that very premise will be true at the end of the day. One, because it's still an R&D nature of some of the systems that are being developed. This has to work in high-density operations with high traffic volumes and close headways, which means there's going to be a lot of testing to ensure that we get system reliability. What we don't want is PTC stopping trains when they're not supposed to be stopped. And we have to make sure that there's timely development of the GE radio that operates on the 220 megahertz, which is being designed for the Northeast Corridor.
Helena?
I'm going to give you one more. It's just, we have to complete the interface protocols with Amtrak as well. I don't want to understate, and of course, as you know, we still don't have all the spectrum for Metro North, although we're working, toward that. It is enormously complex. It is our goal to try to accelerate PTC, to get it done sooner. But it wasn't as clear as your statement that just producing the pieces would in fact accelerate the date. And while we think accelerating manufacturing will help us, it will demonstrate that we are using all due diligence to arrive at a PTC end date. It's not 100% guarantee, and that's why I made the statement that there was a little bit of an assessment on assigning risk. There's some risk to us and some to them.
Okay, so I just have two comments. The first is just I'm frustrated because back, and this predates Joe's arrival, back when we were told, I recall pretty vividly, that we were going to go as fast as we could with PTC implementation, but that due to the massive complexities, which I get,
right,
we couldn't go any faster. Now you're kind of saying, yeah, but we kind of can go a little faster. It'll just cost you $11 million more. I thought we were trying to accelerate it back when it first hit the board. So that's one frustration. And if you want to comment on it. My second frustration is I don't know if we have any feeling, or I certainly don't, of how we can control the costs. And I don't want to be, I realize it's one coin and we have two sides of the coin. We do want to accelerate. If that has legitimate cost increases that you're monitoring it, but how do we have a sense of assurance that that 11 million won't next month be another 15 million, and then the following month be another 22 million, and then the way these things tend to go.
We have negotiated this as a fixed price, and we've negotiated the overall contract as a system delivery, which we think gives us the opportunity to say, we've laid out what the requirements are for the system to quote-unquote work at the end of the day, and that's what the joint venture has to produce for us. So that's our overall guarantee. To your first comment, I do want to say that, this contract was originally approved in November. Well, I was very clear when I presented it that the completion date was December 2018, even though the legislation required a December 2015 compliance date. We felt that we had worked very hard to get a reasonable schedule that mapped out compliance by 2018. We then did have a major incident and Spite and Dival. It changed the picture for us, and it changed it for Metro North and Long Island Railroad. And I think it's moved the industry as well, that we want to move as fast as we possibly can. And we did engage in a very aggressive and long negotiation over we began right in December, asking the joint venture what they could do to accelerate these schedules. And this is what we were able to negotiate. So your point is well taken, Commissioner, that we were trying very hard to lay out an aggressive schedule to meet 2018. Well, we went back and we sharpened those pencils again. We looked at the schedule again. We looked at what we could do to produce the fleet. Part of the issue is we have to produce the fleet for the installations, which means we're managing the out-of-service fleet requirements as well. We became very aggressive. Joe looked at this himself with his maintenance of equipment department, and we have produced now a better schedule. But I even say better with a caution that there are still schedule risks.
Okay, thank you, and thank you
And
for
I'm
that.
saying yes and not just nodding.
No, and then, but when you come back for your next increase on the price, I think we'll have a different discussion.
I'm hoping we won't be there.
Me too.
I think she has been informed. Chuck, did you have something else you wanted to add before we vote on these three?
I have nothing but compliments for you for trying to accelerate this. My concern, and I think Commissioner Ballard's concern, is the contracts that start at number $1 after a bunch of bidding, and then have another round of extras, and then a third round of it. We're talking about millions of dollars here. It seems to me at some point you folks need to get together a policy of saying, enough. This may not be the case.
Right.
The next one may not be the case. But it seems to me at some point you've got to say to these folks, they're in the business of extras. I know, believe me. They are in the extras business. That's where the money's made. And we got to just draw a line at some point.
Ira?
Yeah, the concern I have is this thing was moved up 12 months, and as I understood it, there were a lot of unknown unknowns regarding PTC. I'm just concerned, as you mentioned, the concern that we'd have operational problems if we implemented this quickly, and I'd like to express that concern for the record. The other question I have, there was a public speaker who mentioned FCC restrictions on towers, and is that an issue for us? Well, for Metro North.
It's more of a nationwide issue where many freight carriers have to install antennas on tribal lands throughout the Midwest in America, and they need to get tribal approval, and that process is a very long one. We don't believe that we will have those same issues for Metro North and Long Island Railroad on antenna locations.
Are we using can we use the same, the police department contract I was thinking, are we going to use that for?
We will maximize any antenna locations that we can. I will say that there probably is, less ability to do that than we would like.
Jim?
I've sat here for 15 minutes and listened about PTC. And I remember back in November, when we passed, I think it was a $400 million deal, and we were told that this was going to show our good faith because we didn't think we could make the times that were scheduled. Granted, we've had an incident, terrible incident in December, but in my mind, the facts haven't changed. So why all of a sudden can we make advances 6 months later, when in November, oh, we don't know if we're going to be able to make it? My point is that nothing's changed on the facts of the case. So now why all of a sudden can we advance this thing when back in November, we were doing just as a good faith gesture to make sure that we kept ourselves in.
Well, I would say that I think that our efforts in bringing forward the November contract were more than good faith. We really did lay out what we thought was a reasonable schedule for compliance. We had some contingency in there. Clearly, this effort now takes some of that contingency out. It requires us to be much more aggressive on producing the equipment for the onboard installations. And we do think we have to recognize the picture has changed post-December. And I'm going to turn to Joe, who's worked with me on how could we gain some more time. And Metro North's approach is different under Joe.
And I'm going to say to you, from an industry standpoint, I wasn't here in November, but from the industry standpoint, we were all having a problem with unproven technology. It was a mandate that was put out there for something that none of us knew that this would work. We were waiting for at least a system to prove that it was viable and would actually work. We now know that the system will work. Okay, we've seen that they're able to put it out in California, but there's still problems with the system that they put in, that it doesn't do everything that it was first broadcast to do. There are portions of it that still have to be worked on, which means that where we are now is that we are now pushing forward on the technology we know that will work, but we also have to leave some contingencies in there for the other parts that haven't quite filled in yet. We are fortunate that we've also subsequently developed an EAP system here that will take in some of the issues that maybe this new system isn't going to do yet. So what I'd like to say is, it's not my it's my intent to let you know that from an industry standpoint, the entire industry was unsure of where this was going to go, and that has changed recently. So that's why I would say it was a good measure in November to go and do this. There was also an impetus that was put on because we now had situations that could have been alleviated or potentially avoided by moving this thing forward. So it's a good move to go and do it. The chair had committed to it, and it is the right way. And if you noticed, even in the papers this past week, the NTSB again strongly urged that we move forward towards putting this system in. So I would say this is the right move.
Any other comments on any of these three items? Okay, I take a motion to approve Ellison Avenue, Johnson Avenue Yard, and the PTC contract. Second, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Those three items are approved. We thank our friends from Westbury. That contract will be on the board agenda on Wednesday for final approval. Thank you for coming. Metro North, there are no modifications for Long Island Railroad?
No.
So we're on Metro North, non-competitive, page 150. Joe will explain first.
And I'm gonna my cautionary word to Mr. Bombase is that you're not done yet, so stick around, okay? So it is the first one, which, again, I do understand the board's desire to avoid non-competitive. This is for a 2 multi-year service contract to Siemens for the building management and fire alarm and life safety systems in Grand Central. The two systems manage Grand Central heating and ventilation. Siemens is the original equipment manufacturer and software designer. So this upgrade will basically give us 10 more years out of the system. I want to commend the procurement department for negotiating a 20% discount in labor rates and 60% discount on parts for the system upgrade. Wow. And when we've got this thing moving forward, we will start looking at what we anticipate to be the rest of the life on this and begin looking for being able to replace it. So I'm asking for the board to support this.
Question on? Yes, go ahead. Put your microphone on, Chuck.
What was the significant adverse information?
If you don't mind, I would like to ask Mr. Bombase before he decides to retire.
There were a couple of overseas issues, not in the United States.
Oh.
I know none of them occurred in 13, but I will give you a short list of those, Chuck. I did not put all the details in the staff summary sheet.
Okay.
Any other questions on this item? Motion to approve?
Motion.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Competitive, page 160.
Yeah, no, I knew you were going to do
You have the information before you on the competitive procurements that are there. The first one is competitively solicited, 2-year miscellaneous service contract to Advance Hermetic Incorporated to provide for the remanufacture of Metro North's M2 and M4 rail car compressors. 16 vendors were sent solicitations, 3 bids were received. Advanced Hermetic submitted the lowest responsive and responsible bid. The pricing will remain fixed for the 2-year period. The second one is a joint procurement for the railroads that was led by Metro North. It was negotiated 6-year miscellaneous service contract, RFP process, 11 proposals received, 4 firms shortlisted to Masabi LLC for implementation of a mobile ticketing program, including development and maintenance of all support systems for both railroads. The mobile ticketing app will herald the beginning of a significant change in the existing fare collection methods and practices, particularly in on-train inspection collection functions. It will provide the railroad's customers with the ability to purchase tickets and receive the purchased ticket in visual and barcoded displays in their mobile devices, as well as having the ability to use a print-at-home option.
Chuck?
6 years in technology is 10 lifetimes. Why do you need 6 years? These apps change. For example, at 7:04 a.m., I already heard that we had awarded this contract. I mean, I got an email that told me it was awarded at 7:04 a.m. Now, if the world knows and the internet knows we approved
That was in the... Chuck,
3 hours ago, why do we need a 6?
Chuck, that was in an alternate universe. I just want you to know that.
Why is it, Joe? Why 6?
Anthony, can you respond on that? Because
First year is the design and implementation.
Yes.
The second year is the warranty period. And the 4 years is the maintenance and support thereof. But it is in coordination with the New York City and MTA headquarters fare program and the fare collection system.
Yeah, but within 6 months or a year or 2, the whole system may change. Why are we doing
So
things?
it's an architecture also.
But if it changes in 6 months or a year, why are we doing that? Why can't we do it with options to renew?
I can ask the planning department to explain.
Would you take a look?
Good morning. Well, one of the things.
Identify yourself, Delana, for that.
Delana Glenn, Director of Operations Planning, Metro North. One of the things in that 6-year period is that the vendor will update the app for us. When things in the industry change, things in their business change, there will be updates to the app. It's not a 6 years fixed, this is the only app you get. It will be updated throughout that.
Paid as they go along and to turn.
Absolutely, always. Every single contract that I've ever written has termination for both convenience and default.
And does it have a provision that in the event there is new technology, or maybe, for example, we will go the way of Brazil and have the state pick up the cost of transportation?
Absolutely.
A good idea.
Absolutely.
TWU has led the way.
Absolutely. That contract has that in it.
Okay.
Any other... Carl, did you...
No.
Funny thing about this item is that Saturday night, my wife asked me the exact same question, because she was taking the train out of Ronkonkoma Sunday morning at 6:40, knowing that the ticket booth is not open, and wanted to know, could she buy a ticket through her mobile phone? And I said to her, soon. Soon. That was not the answer she wanted, but that's the answer she got, was soon.
We may not have mobile phones 6 years
That
from now.
may be true. That may be true.
We may all engage in on-flow skepsis.
That would be nice. Any other discussion on these items? If not, motion to approve?
Motion.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Ratifications, 169, Jim.
There are 4 ratifications. They're for the emergency purchase of bulk rock salt, the emergency purchase for third rail fiberglass non-conductive fiber channels needed to preclude electrical arcing, the emergency purchase for splice covers for Metro North's third rail system, and the emergency repair of locomotive 225 damaged as a result of the December 2013 derailment.
Any questions on these items? Motion to approve, second. Jim, you had a question? Go ahead.
How long will the, if you know, the locomotive repair take?
I'm going to turn to John.
I believe it's approximately a year, 12 to 18 months.
That would be about right.
Yeah, it's a little less.
Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is approved. Capital construction.
David.
Good morning.
Page
Capital
165.
Capital Construction has 4 procurement items for consideration this month totaling $8.5 million, and the package begins on page 165. There are no non-competitive items. There are 3 competitive items totaling $3 million. The first item is requesting approval to utilize a request for proposal method instead of an invitation for bid to solicit a public work contract for the East Side Access Project Grand Central Terminal Station Caverns contract. The second item is requesting approval of a modification to the East Side Access General Engineering Consultant contract for design revisions for a new public entrance at a cost of $846,232. The third item is a modification to the East Side Access Queens Board Tunnels and Structures contract for the closeout of unresolved claims, changes, credits, and final reconciliation of unit quantities and allowances. The cost of this modification is $2,154,714. These items are submitted for your consideration and vote.
Any question on any of these 3 items on page 165? If not, motion to approve. Second. All in favor? Aye. There's one other item.
Yes, Capital Construction has 1 ratification item this month, and it is located on page 171. We are requesting the ratification of a modification to the East Side Access Plaza Substation and Queens Structures contract for the extension of the 63rd Street Tunnel structure and backfill of the bell mouth. Please note that this is a scope and budget transfer from a future contract, and the cost of the modification is $5.5 million. This item is submitted for your consideration and vote.
Any questions on this item? If not, motion to approve. Second. All in favor? Aye.
That concludes our procurement package for this month.
Okay. We have 4 minutes. We're on time. All of the other materials are in the packet. Are there any questions on any of the other materials? Chuck? You want to put your microphone on, Chuck? Sorry. Go ahead.
Let me first thank President Gilletti for walking me and others through the changes in scheduling and making them explainable. There is one issue that remains, and it's illustrated by both Metro North and Long Island Railroad. If you have a realistic schedule, barring some disaster or the like, you ought to be able to get there on time. And the question gets to why are on-time performances figures both present and projected as low as they are? The goal ought to be 100%, not 95%, if the schedules are realistic. I have no doubt that you have bent every effort to make them as realistic as you can and as favorable to the riding public as you possibly can. I recognize that in our sister state, until such time as you folks get around to fixing some bridges and curves and the like, and find the money to do that, you're going to have a problem in terms of being able to do the kinds of things that you would want. My concern is if you have a realistic schedule, and if you do what the governor of the great state of Connecticut has sought to do, which is to provide the arms and the legs to do the job and get it done properly. Why can't we look for 100% on-time performance? Why do we have to go to 70, 80, 90?
Joe?
I'm letting Joe go first.
This is the second board meeting you've brought this up at, and then this has also been the request of the, as you've heard, the commissioner from Connecticut. While I'm sitting here, I've gotten another FRA notification on my commitment to ensure the safety and security of this railroad and the reliability of the railroad, and to not be focused on the on-time performance, because it was that focus on on-time performance which led to what is perceived to be a culture that was not focused on safety but was instead focused on on-time performance. I have to agree with you. If we get a reliable schedule out there, of course we want a schedule that looks to go and get 100% every day. But having said that, I cannot make it a focus at this point, and that's what I've explained, that we are looking at the on-time performance targets, because it's that target that has been criticized as being part of the contributing factors into a culture that was not focused on safety. I have already stated to the Commissioner, and I know that has been relayed to the Governor, I'll be more than happy when we put out this new schedule change. If the windows for maintaining the railroad are there, if the integrity of that schedule is there so that it's reliable, we can then address your question as well as the Governor's questions on what it is that should be our targets going forward. I deliberately made a decision to lower performance targets so that way the message would be clear to everybody that our focus is not on the on-time performance, but instead on reliable and safe service. But I can't argue the philosophical points you are making, but I have to stand by the statement that this is not the moment in time to focus on on-time performance.
Joe, I have no question as to both your sound intent and your ability to achieve. But the word reliable also implicates on time.
Jim?
And I say thank you to that.
Jim, do you have something?
Just one quick thing. Through all the difficulties we've had over the last year, well, to bring it to a head, the MDBF is drastically down this month again, and year to date, and I didn't perceive that equipment per se was a problem for us. Could you just give us a word on that?
Yeah, I mentioned that briefly at last month's meeting. The winter of 2013, 2014 is akin to what we experienced back in 10 and 11. At that point in time, the New Haven line suffered the most significantly when we had over 50% of our EMUs out of service. This winter on the New Haven line, the older cars, the M4s and the M6s in particular that did not go through a CSR program performed very badly. Their MDBF was down probably in the 20,000 mile range, and that brought down the New Haven line numbers. On the H&H side, the M3s and the M7s had a poor month of January. In February, they actually recovered. And our diesel haul equipment that was used extensively through all of the power outages and snow events actually were adversely impacted during January and February as well. As I stated earlier, the M3s and the M7s recovered in February and they're performing better. The diesel equipment, the locomotives and the coaches started a slight recovery in March. They're continuing to recover in April. So for those 2 months, we'll see lower than desired MDBF numbers, but I'm confident that starting in May, the MDBF numbers for those fleets will be up to where they should be.
Jonathan? Jim, did you have something else?
Thank you.
Jonathan? No, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I guess this will be part of an ongoing conversation. But I don't, and we gotta give you leeway given your new tenure and given the horrific incidents that happened leading up to your joining. But as we adjust the schedules, and as we all reasonably try and achieve the goals of, obviously, as we discussed a number of times already in briefings and the like, safety obviously comes first. But having said that, just like with other transportation industries, you have to get where you want to go on time, and it's got to be reliable. So they don't seem like mutually exclusive goals to me, and they haven't ever been expressed as such in my not quite 3 years, so I don't have the longest tenure here. I have the second shortest, in fact. But having said all that, I still don't understand your response to what Commissioner Merdler said, because it seems like the goal should be, I mean, I don't know if it's 100%. I mean, we all live in the real world, but I don't know why they have to be in the low 90s. And if you're reassessing your schedule a couple times a year to adjust the times, if you're adjusting the times, you should be able to meet the times that you're setting. So you don't shoot for a 90 when you're adjusting the times. So I'm just a little confused. I'm willing to say, as I said at the outside, this is part of an ongoing discussion, but I don't see mutually exclusive goals.
I'm gonna put it in a response that puts it right back towards me, that this is the first time I'm coming to you for a schedule change, all right? You do understand that as a board, everything that has been put forth in terms of the information that has been given. There isn't anybody that's in my position that isn't going out there to try and make a schedule that will achieve 100%. That is the goal that you want to have. But what I have to do right now is take a look at what has happened, the operating windows that were there, whether or not we could get maintenance there, and this is the first shot that we're taking to go and do that right now. If that is successful, which you do understand the pressure I'm under, that needs to be successful so that we can ensure that we've got the track machinery out there. We're going to do at least 5 more major reviews with electronic technology coming on to the best that is in the industry to look at our infrastructure right now to get it up to speed. When we know that that has worked, when we know that they can get to Grand Central, when we said we're going to deliver them to Grand Central, I am fully aware of what your expectations are, and that should be the way that I address it coming back to you. But I am going to ask for your indulgence in this schedule change that I need to, one, make sure, and I'm saying reliable, all right? I'm saying that I want a reliable schedule. I'm saying that I want a schedule that will go out there and allow for our maintenance windows to be there, and that we're trying to make it at least somewhat faster for the majority of the riders that are coming in. But I'm not in a position to go beyond that at this point in time. But please remember this conversation, and after we've done this schedule change on May 11th, that's exactly what the state of Connecticut has asked for. They want to sit down with us, know that we're going in the right direction, and then know what commitments we're willing to make going forward.
My last little, we had a number of unanticipated briefings over the last few weeks.
Mhm.
So I was not able to have the follow-up discussion with respect to some of this data. I would like to do it over the next few weeks at our mutual convenience. I just think that perhaps by lumping it the way we do and by presenting it the way we do, we're not, at least from the perspective of a board member, seeing some of the information that might be more relevant. And I'm sure you have it, so it's a matter of presentation. Okay,
I'll take that as the ball's in my court, and I'll look forward to sitting down with you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Norman, did you want to add something?
Yeah, really, it's just, again, I'm quibbling over mathematics here, really, but there's really only one priority, number one. So, in the end of the day, we can talk about mutually exclusive, mutually complementary goals, all we wish. A clear statement that there's one priority, number one, and then in this particular circumstance, it's safety. I support the clear statement by the leadership that that's what we're doing.
Ira?
Yeah, just a comment about on-time performance, and then I have a question about, no, it's not a question, more of a comment about the standees Long Island Railroad. I would not want us to set a goal of 100%. As you know, we've had discussions about on-time performance goals along Long Island Railroad, and I feel setting a goal and not meeting it is a problem, and because it shows we're not meeting our goals. Why aren't we able to meet our goals? Sometimes it's something beyond the railroad's control. It's a matter of expanding infrastructure, and it's a capital investment. I mean, we suffer on the Long Island Railroad from congestion problems, and we could get a higher on-time performance. I'm sure Helene could do it. You could just cut rush hour trains, and we'd be able to run probably at a higher maybe even meet goal. I'm not sure, but then we'd have more standees. So I think there's a dynamic here with on-time performance, and if you want to get 100%, you could, but you'd have to. It's just a number. And I congratulate Joe on. I asked that question when I first saw that, I think in January, and he said it was because, and I accept that for the time being. I think that if you want to send a message to your employees and you want to do that by changing goal numbers in our books, fine. It's in one area we still suffer from these high standees situation on Huntington in particular. I don't know if there's an answer for that. I mean, additional standees I'm talking about, and I think that means that the consists aren't enough. I've heard reports of short trains. I just want to hear from Helena what the explanation is for Huntington. I think even Port Jeff has a few, and Port Washington as well.
We were examining, because you had mentioned to me the issue of were we short some cars, and we are backtracking through the data just to take a look. We have had a couple of instances where pairs were cut out, and that does add to the standees. Mike, do you have anything in particular that jumps out at you on Huntington?
Huntington, we had an issue earlier in the month with the cold weather and specific equipment failure, so that particular train ran short. The port wash issue was a PM issue where we had to do a cancel combo on one particular evening. On another particular day, train 452 had issues, and that accounted for the standees on the port wash branch.
I mean, I think if people really want, there should be a more fuller discussion, maybe not at a meeting, about on-time performance. What are reasonable goals for both railroads, and why you don't want 100%, because you can easily, you're forced to make a more expanded schedule. I think Mussolini's the famous for that. So I think to have a goal that you can just attain is probably a reasonable goal, and that's what I schedule. Because if you're trying to prevent one or two trains from being late, and you wind up adding time to everyone else's schedule, that's not very productive.
Olivia, you want to add something? Or
No, I think I really did capture it.
We're done? Commissioner, go ahead.
I just wanted to reiterate what I thought I said in the beginning. The state of Connecticut's approval is predicated on this schedule, adding 9 minutes from New Haven, 2 minutes to 3 minutes from Stamford, as long as we have a 95% goal, and then continue to work on travel time and frequency.
Thank you. Chuck?
I would like to just quickly raise a point which I've raised with you, Mr. Chairman. There is some thought around that absent a third mainline track between Floral Park and Hicksville, the entire Ronkonkoma project may not have a chance of success. I will provide you with that material, and I would ask you to advise both Commissioner Pally and me at your convenience, early convenience, whether there's merit to that issue.
We will take care of that. We believe there is, but we will take care of that. Anybody else? Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Same. Thank you. Thank you very much for a very informative and spirited meeting.
Mr. Chairman,